Now entering the atmosphere of Planet Zero. Scanning for signals. Incoming broadcast. Shift destination. S2Ep8 journal. Begin transmission.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the book club from Planet Zero. My name is Erik, as I'm your host on this fabulous journey through Comicdom, and this is my guest host today, Christian Rice, returning again for, how was it again, the third time you're here, man? Fourth time? I can't even remember, man. You're here all the time.
I tried to get there. I tried to get to it before you. But yep, that's right. I'm your guest host. My 12th. No, what is this? This is episode 28, 21.
Man, I lost count how many times you came on the show, man. It's like you're like a regular occurring guest. We should just make you a official co-host.
Did my paperwork get approved?
I lost him, but if you can do him again, that would be great.
Dude, what? You lost the creatures and my paperwork?
Hey, man, it's a tall stack, all right?
You should switch to digital.
No. The book club ship does not have any fax machine, no.
But we do read the DC Universe app and the Marvel Unlimited app. And also the Shonen Jump app. That's how we keep caught up on One Piece.
Those are fine.
And then we have an Instagram account.
Oh, well, yeah. That too,
and a TikTok account.
Well, look, I lost
There's
it,
the
okay?
YouTube page.
Listen, I paid for those stacks of paper. You're going to use them.
I went to Kinko's. I spent my last golub. What's our currency on Planet Zero?
A current what?
What's the currency?
Currency?
Yeah.
Plips.
Plips? I like it. Well, welcome back, guys. Today we're going to go ahead and get right back into the we're going to feel the grass between our toes, the dirt between our fingers,
smell the musk of the swamp.
Smell the musk of the swamp, the moss in our eardrums, the spores in our nostrils, and the flowers down our throat.
The horrific sight of a swamp monster making love to
a normal human woman.
A normal human woman.
I don't think that. But there's only that one sex scene that we already talked about where he's like, "Eat this yam."
Yeah, they had mind sex. Can you fucking believe that?
Look, on the episode we talked about it, I purported that they did it.
This isn't this great. We can interpret a sex scene however we want. This is what's great about Swamp Thing.
This was great about Swamp Thing, and I get why you don't like watching porn with me, because in Swamp Thing I can be like, this is sex, but in porn you're like, God, dude, this is sex. I don't want to watch this with you, Christian. Stop putting this on. You said that there was a Hawkman Hawk Girl movie. It was a Hawkman Hawk Girl movie. It was just happened to be a porn parody.
Yeah, his name was, but they call him Cockman instead of Hawkman. Can you believe that?
This is so funny, Eric. I think this is something that you might want to know about, but there is a porn parody of Hawkman and Hawk Girl.
I can believe you.
And it's the most accurate film adaptation of their story.
Yo!
It's actually really true and really well done of their story, but it is a porn.
Actually, I want to watch that. I don't know I didn't consume any Hawk person comic or anything except from the Justice League cartoon. So this might be my first step into Hawk.
Dude, I'll show you where I discovered that and then we'll see if we can't track it down.
I don't mind porn as long as there's context behind it.
As long as it's got a good story, I'll watch anything.
Yeah, of course. The sex is just the rice to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. I hope he uses his hammer. Or his mallet?
It's a mace. Oh, it's his nth middle mace.
This is his nth middle mace?
It can negate magic and disrupt electronics.
Do you even read DC comics? I do, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I finished up the third volume, book 3,
which is
Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
It's a monumental issue because that's
Technicolor Constantine.
Yep, the first appearance of John Constantine appears in this book.
This is his first appearance?
Yep.
Ever?
Yes.
He's an Alan Moore character?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. The concept of John Constantine happened when the artists were like, we want to draw this famous musician. I think it's Sting. And they're like,
no, this
Alan
is David
Moore's
Bowie.
I think it was Sting.
This is David Bowie.
Well, anyway, they wanted to draw a famous artist, and then Alan Moore's like, all right, I think I'll just make a character based on him. And then, there we go. Technicolor Constantine.
That is David Bowie.
I'm pretty sure is Stung. But that's a nice issue. Maybe we should put that as our cover right there. For
David Bowie Johnson Constantine.
That's a good
and
color.
that will be our Q&A too. Is this Sting or is this David Bowie? Don't even look it up. I saw you grab your phone to Google it to prove me wrong.
Yeah, and the first thing that popped up was
I don't
some
care about
Griffith
being
and Guts.
right. I care about if people agree with me. No.
I only care if people agree.
I only care if people think the thing I think. I don't care if it's right or wrong. But anyways, book 3 of Swamp Thing opens up with an introduction of probably my favorite Swamp Thing villain so far.
Nuke Face.
Fucking Nuke Face, dude.
That's my favorite guy.
Nuke Face is this character who I guess worked at like some kind of plant, some packaging plant.
Yeah, he was from a town
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that dumped, like the businesses that worked there dumped toxic waste into the city river, and it just like radiated the town until like it was
everyone had to move out of it.
Yeah, but
one guy
stayed around. This homeless guy just stayed around the city a little too long, and he just become this walking irradiated
he was
mess.
just drinking the water and like eating like the irradiated canned foods and stuff, and I guess he gained an immunity to it.
You remember he meets that hippie guy in the forest?
Do you mean the other homeless guy, the other vagrant?
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, buddy, you want to take a swig of this?
Hey, take a swig of this." And
yeah,
it's just sludge. It's like radiation sludge. The guy's face starts melting.
Oh my
he's
God,
like, "Oh, you can't handle your drink, huh?"
His jaw starts melting first too. You ever saw images of that a guy who kept getting injection of like radiation to his jaw? Just something I think it's to cure something in his teeth. And now there's a picture of him without a jaw, and it's so fucked. It's like the early stages of radiation treatments, and it was kind of messed up. But yeah, that's what we see in Swamp Thing. Nuke Face is just walking around.
He finds his way to Louisiana, and he's just walking around dumping radiation all over the place.
He's just a vagrant. He's not even a bad guy.
He's not even a bad guy. He's just some dude who likes to drink radiated sludge.
And he's happy. He's unaware of his situation. He's so like mentally deranged from the radiation that he just thinks like, hey, I'm just going for a stroll and like here, let me get this drink. And then
there's also that couple who used to work for the company who is now working with the company in a different location, and they're dumping radiation into the swamp. Yeah, right. That's the other. Wasn't there like a subplot?
Yeah, wasn't there like a pregnant lady too, and her husband?
Yeah. That's them. That's the couple. They're working for the company, and they're finding a new place to dump the toxic waste.
Well, you might be asking, well, how is this man a villain for Swamp Thing? So Swamp Thing just meets Nuke Face, and before
Swamp Thing goes and like finds the pollution, and is like, oh God, what is this in the green? Like what? Like it's an issue about pollution.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's going on? Like, what's poisoning the green? And he like tracks it down, and he finds Nuke Face.
Nuke Face.
And Nuke Face just like pours his fucking irradiation. Like,
doesn't he put his hands on fucking Swamp Thing, and it just
burns
him. It just burns Swamp Thing because he's just all nature. And fucking Nuke Face doesn't even know what's going on. He's like, what's up, buddy, old pal? He thinks he thought that was the original homeless guy that he gave the drink to.
Yeah.
And oh my God! Like he puts his hand on his chest and it just starts spreading like all over.
Fucking this burns,
God!
And then like Swamp Thing falls down. And he's like, I can't move. And then like you slowly watch this radiation eat away at him.
And Nuke Face just walks away.
And Nuke Face is like, all right, see you later, John.
That's all you see from him. I'm telling you, you don't see him again.
Dude, he doesn't die either.
Yeah,
that's why he's my favorite villain. He doesn't even have a motive. He
walks. He's a product of like pollution in America. Yeah, and he's not even a bad guy.
And
the
Nuke Face issues, Swamp Thing dies. Like from the radiation kills.
He fights
him.
all these supernatural entities. Yet
goes to hell
and back. But there's one guy who's irradiated as fuck just touches him, and he's like, "Fuck!" And I just scream, and
he sends a psychic message out to Abigail, which I don't think they've touched on it too much yet. But I'm pretty sure like Abigail's magic. She's in tune with the magic and stuff.
She's related to Anton, so
yeah, they haven't touched on it too much. There was the issue with Jason Blood where he like alluded to her being special. Right, but they still haven't really. She doesn't have any ability yet.
Nah, she's just a Swamp Thing support gal.
Swamp Thing's girlfriend.
Yeah.
But like Abby comes and like talks to him as he's like dying, and he's like, "Look, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna send my consciousness into the green and see if I can't regrow a body." And he regrows a body in 19 days?
Yeah, it's a slow process.
Which is peak. That's peak Swamp Thing because he's just like a little spud.
A little spud.
And he's like, Abby, I will regrow soon. Abby, I'll come back to you. And Abby's like, your voice is stupid.
You're funny. Or remember she was like, she found like the plant and like she's like, "Is that Swamp Thing?" And she tries to like take care of this little Swamp Thing bud by spraying it with
she's spraying with
pesticide because it bugs well.
And he's like working on making eyes. He's like focusing on getting eyes.
He's
so
like, "Fuck, I gotta make a mouth first.
I gotta fucking make a mouth first so I can tell her to stop spraying me with this pesticide." I know she thinks she's helping, but god damn it, Abby.
So he makes this tiny little mouth, and she has to put her ear like, "What? Swamp Thing? Is that you?"
He's like, "Yeah, it's me. Stop fucking spraying
Stop
with pesticide."
spraying. Bug spray.
No, he doesn't. He's like, "Stop spraying. It stings."
Poor Swamp
And
Thing.
she's like, "What? More pesticide?" And he's like,
and then it's getting his mouth now.
he dies again.
Oh, that's funny.
But John Constantine shows up
Yeah.
on like what, his 13th day of growing. He's like a little like just his top torso, like a little baby Swamp Thing is out of the ground.
So this is when John Constantine makes his appearance to Swamp Thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's here to tell not tell Swamp Thing.
He goes around to a bunch of different contacts that are like in tuned with the
Newcastle
occult.
crew.
The Newcastle crew, if you will. And like one guy's like, "They're bringing back Cthulhu.
Yeah,
Cthulhu is being resurrected."
That's not just a dude. That's Benji Cox. I love the Newcastle crew because like it's just a bunch of randos who are a part of the occult. You got this gay biker guy named Frank. You got this Soho artist named Emily.
Well, not for long.
You got this
What the fuck
club
was
girl.
that?
What?
We'll talk in a minute. We'll talk in a minute. There's the gay biker. There's the Soho artist. There's a nun.
There's a nun called Sister Anne Marie.
Yeah, and was she in the Doom Patrol show?
No.
Okay, Sister Anne Marie, and then there's a fucking dork,
Benji Cox, and Judith, the girl who's intoxicated at the club.
Yeah,
and there's also other characters you'll meet later, but those are what you see so far.
Okay. But he's hitting all the contacts and like
because there's something strange going on.
Yeah,
in the
and
world.
they're all in like they all have a ear to the occult grounds.
Benji Cox is all like, "It's Cthulhu,
It's
John
Cthulhu.
Constantine." Sister Anne Marie is all like, "It's the Satan. It's Satan, John."
Himself.
And Judith's all like, "I don't care, John.
I'm just trying to get fucked up
I'm
in
just
this
trying
club."
to get fucked up." The shit that John has to deal with.
Yeah. But John goes to Louisiana, meets a regrowing Swamp Thing, and is like, "Damn, dude. You don't even know what the fuck you are, huh?"
Yeah, you have no
Swamp
idea
Thing's
what
like,
you're capable of.
"I know what I am." And he's like, "Okay, I'll leave then." You last plant elemental, fucking big shot. And then Swamp Thing's like, "Wait, what? Last plant? What?"
Do you know who I am? Look who wants to talk to me now.
All of a sudden,
I'm Mr. Popular.
You're too cool for me because you don't have legs. What, you think because I don't wear my trench coat with my hands in the sleeves, I just wear it on my shoulders like it's some cool cape? You think you're better than me?
So eventually, Swamp Thing grows back, and John Constantine kind of like gives him like a go here in America and meet me there. And he's all like, "How am I supposed to do that?"
He says, "Go to the meet me in this town in a week." He's like, "I need to regrow." He's like, "Yeah, you'll probably regrow by then.
You can do it by then.
You could do it quicker. You just don't understand your own capabilities yet."
Yeah, he's kind of like pushing.
He's coaching him.
Yeah, he's coaching him, kind of not really giving him like instructions. It's like, "Hey, do this."
He's being John Constantine.
Yeah.
Which, if anyone knows John Constantine, he's an asshole.
He's an asshole. He doesn't give information all there. He kind of lets you figure it out yourself because he's tired of explaining things all the time.
He's like, "Why do I got to explain things to a twat like you?"
My favorite scenes is when he's just trying to info dump with Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing's just trying to catch up with what he's saying.
He's like,
and John just gets mad at him.
He's like, "Just fucking meet me there, dude." So where do they go first? They go to a town. What's it called?
It goes a little out of order in my head. Isn't there like a vampire bay?
Because Swamp Thing previously in the comics fought a bunch of vampires in this town. And
was it the underwater vampires?
Yeah, because he flooded a town to kill all the vampires, but the vampires survived by staying inside of a freezer.
Oh, that's the guy.
So before that though, so he tells him to meet up with him, and then the artist in Soho gets attacked by like
a weird monster with a backwards head and has like its arm stitched into its back, and then it walks backward. Like what?
And look, he's grabbing her butt.
Oh, dude, it's funny when I try to look up this thing on DC the fandom. It's like it's presented as it's a Swamp Thing villain. I'm like, whoa. I don't know what that thing is.
Look at it. It's not even looking out the window. Its head is backwards.
It's chasing her way. It's chasing her forward while his head's backwards. It's so funny.
There are things in Swamp Things that it's just like, I don't understand this.
All you need to know is that all this magic stuff is like gearing up to the big thing
Rosewood.
during Crisis.
They go to Rosewood.
So this is all going to lead up to Crisis, or at least the
Rosewood,
aftermath of
Illinois.
Crisis. That's the underwater vampires.
Yeah, it's the underwater vampires. These kids are hanging out, splashing, splishing, having a good time.
But underneath this lake is like this city that's got abandoned and like
Rosewater. Well, no, it didn't get abandoned.
Oh, that's right.
They go over it in the book. Swamp Thing was there
flooded.
previously fighting the vampires.
Oh, it got flooded.
And he thinks that he wiped out all the vampires by destroying the dam. The dam.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is,
Wait, I remember
what is
that
a dam
now.
but a water jam?
Isn't it the one where he becomes a mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so
dude,
cool.
I was going to get there. That's at the end of it.
Oh, that's at this arc.
That's
oh,
at
okay.
the end of it.
Oh,
But,
okay. I
like,
thought that was earlier. But yeah, it's so good.
So there's an entire city trapped under this like now swamp lake thing of Rosewood, Illinois, that was infested by vampires 2 years ago. That Swamp Thing fought the vampires and flooded the town because running water kills vampires. So he thought he got them all, but there was a group of vampires in the supermarket in the freezer section who hadn't waken up yet.
Oh.
And when the water was still, they just came out of the freezers and they started living underwater because they don't need air.
And they became like these mermaid vampire creatures.
Yeah, dude. Well, these are just normal vampires that are living underwater. They figured out that they can live under there. And then they get this big fat queen vampire.
Yeah, there's a queen vampire. Wasn't she in the theater? She's like laying all these eggs. Oh my lord!
Yo, these vampires' mama's so fat that when she in the theater, she sits next to everybody. But she's like the vampire queen is so bloated and fat that she can't move. So they have to they go and they drink the blood of people who swim in the water, and then they come back and cut themselves to feed her the blood that they have in their body.
They're feeding their mama.
Yeah, but then they take her out to like the football field of Rosewater. Again, all this is underwater, so they're like swimming her through it. And in the meantime, the group of kids who lost their friend are like, "What the fuck are we gonna do, dude? Nicky, he was white as a sheet. His lips were white. His skin was white. Like it looked like all the blood was getting. There was stuff under the water attacking him." And the kids are like arguing. Like other kids are like, "I'm not telling my fucking parents."
Oh yeah,
about
I'm not
this.
telling my dad that I came here.
My dad beats me. He's gonna fucking beat me over this, dude.
Oh my god, the
And then the other
70s
kids
and
are like,
80s.
"But what about the cops?" It's like, so Swamp Thing regrows in a couple hours.
Yeah, he's improving every time he.
It took 19 days to fully regrow. This time he only took like 2 or 3 hours to regrow a new body in Illinois.
He goes back into the green and he pops up anywhere. That's so dope.
Yeah. And then Constantine meets him there doing his Constantine thing, right? Meanwhile, one of the kids who wanted to go back and save the kid actually goes back to the river, finds Nicky. Nicky is now a vampire.
Nicky!
He's like, "Come on, dude."
He popped out of the water going, Nicky!
"Come on, check out my new friends. Check out their fat mom.
Check out this fat mom we got.
She's full of fish eggs."
Oh, that's right. She got eggs.
She got a bunch of fish eggs in her, dude. They're creating a new breed of vampires is what's going on. Look at it. Oh, look at it. So Constantine's like, "Yeah, you didn't actually kill all those vampires, dude. You idiot." He tells him about the freezer vampires.
You idiot. Did you check the freezer when you killed all those vampires?
Those freezers are airtight. Do you think the water got in there?
Oh, I'm sorry, John. I didn't have time to check every single building
John.
and every single freezer.
Saving the fucking world from vampires invading a small town.
Well, maybe if you had the power you had now, you could have done it. Well,
I like that every time. He was like, "You botched this. You got to fix this. They're still vampires. They're living under the ocean now. They're living in the water.
How am I supposed to go down that? You're literally
You're
swamp
fucking
thing.
Swamp Thing, mate."
You're fucking swamp thing, mate.
And he's like, "How are they breathing down there? You fucking idiot. They're fucking vampires. They don't need to breathe. Get down there. Go."
Okay.
All right. And then
But I just ate. I don't want to go in the water.
He's like walking around. He's already slow on land, in my opinion. Like I always see him as like a lumbering Hulk, but now he's underwater, so I imagine him moving so slow.
And I imagine John Constantine.
Like, look at all these vampires just like floating around him. Like there's even a part where it's like it says something where it's like he's too big, he's too strong. His blood is gross, but he moves so slow. He can't be stopped, but he can be corralled. So they like right here. So
they're all
cannot
swarming.
fight this bloodless giant, but he is slow as grave moss. While we are Quicksilver, he can be avoided. He can be herded, and then they move him to the football stadium, herd it to a place of the nativity, which is them talking about all these gross fish eggs that this lady fucking laid. And then Swamp Thing gets there and is watching all of these fish eggs hatch, and then all the fish are eating each other until there's one big vampire fish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the parents now have gone and tried to find the kids who are missing. They find Nicky with the other kid who went to go look for him. I believe his name is Howard, maybe?
I think
Tommy.
so, yeah.
Tammy? No.
Just call him Howard.
Yeah, Howard works. But Howard like is tied to a rock. He's going to be the sacrifice for the
Oh,
firstborn.
that's right. For the
I just noticed he
big
got like
fish.
a nasty little lobster tail.
They got a fish-looking body, and I love this thing. It's a good
so
design.
It immediately fucks Swamp Thing up.
It
immediately
chomps his freaking
chomps
head
him in
off.
half, tries to eat him. It almost bites his head.
But you can't eat vegetables, man.
Nope, look, it pukes him out.
Blah.
Yeah. So
I
then,
hate
so then
spinach.
he's like, shit, all right, I got to do this.
He transformed his body into spinach because he knows kids hate that shit. Because he is
vampire. Children hate spinach and broccroccoli, and this
So
is a
he's-
newborn baby. It does not want to eat its peas.
yeah, and he spits them out. I transformed into peas, Abby. And
I was fighting a newborn vampire fish, Abby.
How'd you get out of there?
I transformed into peas.
Kids hate peas. That's some
Kids
JoJo
hate
logic
peas.
right there.
But then, so like the parents find the kids. They're like, "Come." Nicky starts eating his mom. His dad's like, "Please stop eating your mom. What the heck?"
Yeah, and there's the dad with a gun that starts shooting off. Right.
I like when he's like the fish guy eats the other kid's dad, and then the rest of the parents are like, "All right, get out of here." There's one guy with a shotgun. He's like, "Go! I got this! God damn it!" He does not have it.
He did not have it.
And then you cut to the remaining family who's by the car, and the mom is just like, "Will you guys get in the fucking car? Let's go."
The remainers is like, just get in the car.
We have to go. We just get in.
Oh,
and then
man.
Swamp Thing, instead of making a new body, connects to the green, turns into a
mountain.
into the mountain that's flooded, and changes to where all the water is rushing and moving, and running water again kills vampires. So he wipes out the rest of the vampires.
So sick.
I popped so hard for this.
It's such a good scene.
We're going
bro.
to post it on Instagram, so make sure
Okay,
you're
yeah.
following us on Instagram. You'll be able to see it. It's this awesome picture of swamp, like it's a mountain, like breaking apart its roots.
You see Swamp Thing's face coming out from the mountain too, like from the ground.
So
like,
cool.
look, you even
and the
see like the
water's rushing
car.
in the cart, and they're
You can see
getting out
as a
of there.
side
yeah.
difference. As a size difference, you see how freaking huge he is.
It's so cool, dude. I popped so hard. And then Constantine shows up.
He's walking through
He
the
kicks
water.
at his vampire skull. He says, "Well, where are you? Come on, I haven't got bloody all day."
and look, he
then
immediately transforms into a body. See how quick that was?
51 seconds. Because it starts, and then he checks his watch right here when he's like nearing the end. And he's like, complete regeneration in 51 seconds. That's pretty good.
It's funny to think maybe this whole like mission was just to teach at least like get Swamp Thing to get into like turning into a new body fast. I think that's his whole point.
I think the whole nuke face thing is to show him that he doesn't need the serum.
Yeah.
He doesn't need plant life that's interacted with the serum. He can connect to the green because he's something else. He isn't the serum. The serum isn't what makes him special. The serum was the catalyst to put Alec Holland's memories into the plants, but
it was the magic of the green that brought him to life.
Yes. And I think the vampire mission, quite frankly, is John being like, okay, shit's going down. Shit's about to start happening. There is a plant elemental who can help me. And also there's a plant elemental who needs to clean up some of his messes. So he's like, hey, you go clean up your mess in Illinois. And then Swamp Thing does it. And then Constantine at the end of the mission is like, can't believe you botched this one, dude. And he's like, what do you mean? I killed all the vampires. Not like last time. What do you mean botched? And he's like, yeah, but those people got away. They're going to talk about it. And then people are going to talk about it. And then everyone in like a 50-mile radius will start to believe in vampires a little bit more.
Is that a bad thing?
And he's like, yeah, that's literally what the forces of evil are doing. They're trying to resurrect like this stuff. So like, and the belief power has to. Remember he was talking to the
belief
nun
power.
because he was like, how are they going to do it, Constantine? And he's like, well, they're gonna have to drive up the belief power and to be able to do it.
That's good. All this magic hoo-ha is going on across America, and John Constantine's telling Swamp Thing to go there and fix it.
So the next place he tells him to go is in Maine.
Yeah, some werewolf lady.
Yeah.
Should we talk
Kinnisook.
about this arc a little bit?
We should talk about the whole book.
You know what? You're right.
What do you mean?
Swamp
This
Thing's
arc's important because he goes. There's a lady who's turning into a. Oh well, first off, there's some hot action between him and Abby.
Sweet little,
Look at this.
Human
dude.
swamp monster action.
Yeah, she's in cut off red jean shorts and a yellow tank top, swimming around the swamp. She's like, "Hop in with me," and he's like, "I don't want to get wet."
I've been fighting vampires in the water.
When I get wet, I get heavy and it's hard to move. And she's like, "Then just make a new body when you're done being in the wet body."
I get PTSD whenever I'm in the water because of vampires.
I literally just fought a bunch of underwater vampires. Abby, get out of that water. It's not safe.
But this lady.
So this lady
turns into a werewolf.
She turns into a werewolf. I don't know who she is. Phoebe, and she has a husband
who's kind of a dick.
So
but I think this whole
Swamp Thing apparates, fights the werewolf, or tries to, and he can communicate with her in his head.
Oh, that's right.
Because everything's important, right? Everything is important in Alan Moore's story. He's one of those writers that doesn't waste a page. You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
Like, so it's skipping over any one issue in this saga is a disservice to our listeners and to just the narrative that we're exploring, because like he connects mentally with it. And he is like, what are you? And he hears her voice, I am a woman. And he's like, do not stand. And she says, do not stand between me and my wrath. And she goes to kill her boyfriend, and he begs for his life, and she leaves him. Swamp Thing doesn't stop her. She stops herself. She runs off.
Sweet Swamp Thing let her
yeah, he's just kind of observing. He's learning this. He's learning that he's supernatural. Right? Yeah. With all this magic shit, vampires and werewolves and whatnot. And now he's being put on by this weird dude, John Constantine, to go and fight these things. He doesn't trust John Constantine. So in this one, he's kind of just mostly observing and just making sure that she doesn't get too out of control.
He has no idea where John's going to send him next.
Yeah. And then even when the werewolf is running around town, scaring people, and she jumps on a bunch of knives. She makes a decision to kill herself, and he goes, no. He's like, no.
Oh, he tried to save her.
Because he felt a connection with her. He felt... And then she starts dying. She says, "Not inside, outside, please, not indoors. Make sure I die in the moonlight." And he does. He brings her out. And then and then Constantine comes back, and he's like, "All right, pretty good.
Hey, pretty good. Right. I mean, she scared a bunch of people, but
here's your next mission." He's like, "I'm fucking done with this. I'm not going where you want me to go next. I'm going home." And then John Constantine's like, "Okay." And then Swamp Thing looks down at this little slip of paper of the next location, and it says Louisiana.
That's my home state.
That's his fucking home.
He has to do something now.
Yeah. And then the last two issues is it 2 or 3? I think it's 2, right? Or is it 3?
I think about 2 or 3. Was this the haunted house one?
This is the plantation. This is the plantation one.
Oh, that's
this one. In this one, there's a filming of a historical plantation.
Louisiana,
the slave owner's wife had a affair with one of the slaves on the plantation, and they're making a little drama romance historical show about it.
But some magic stuff's happening to where
so all the slave. I think the way it works is that the slave graveyard. First off, they remake the house to look like it used to.
Yes,
they get a bunch of people from the town to act as extras to be slaves on the plantation. They
start becoming who they representing. Yeah, pretty much.
So the main actress, she's actually racist.
And her co-star, the husband, is actually not that racist. Hey, I can deal with this.
He's a pretty liberal white dude. He's like
I can deal with these black co-stars. Well, she's like, I don't want to share the spotlight with them, but. And I can't believe I got to kiss him later. But then, as they keep going back and forth between their historical figures that they're representing and the real life ones, she starts actually falling in love with her black co-star, and he started falling in love with her too. And the guy who's playing the husband actually believes
he starts being racist as shit.
Yeah, he starts being racist and starts believing this
and also
this slave is actually taking his woman.
Yeah, and also the entire time, the director, they're yelling the real names, and he's like, "Hey, that's the real name of the plantation. Remember, in the show, it's this name." Because they're all being possessed by the past personalities,
and the black co-stars are now being in the slave mindset. I think the slave graveyard is affecting their minds.
Yeah, because they literally start doing voodoo.
Oh my god, yeah.
They start doing voodoo rituals, and Abby's like, "Hey, Swamp Thing, you should probably come check this out."
Hey, Swamp Thing,
because Abby gets a job on the set, and she's like, "Hey, babe, Alec, you know how he gave you a slip for Louisiana, but you haven't felt the presence?" And he was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "You should come by the plantation."
I kind of felt a presence.
And he was like,
there.
"I went by there the other night. It's got a weird vibe, but no big deal." She was like, "Yeah, come there when there's a bunch of people there. You should show up when they're cutting chickens' heads off and pouring salt all over the ground."
Oh, and then it turns into a big.
So all of the slaves get resurrected from their graves, and not even all the slaves, just everybody in that graveyard, because. There's a coworker that Abby works with who was an extra. She was playing one of the slave ladies, and she is in a trance. And Abby's like, "Hey, it's me." And she's like, "Who?" And she's like, "Oh, you must be, some mistress." And she's like, "No, it's me, Abby. We work together with those autistic kids. You're the lunch lady." And she's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, what, huh?" And then that lady's dad is resurrected.
Yeah, it's like
And she's like, I'm sorry, Dad, we couldn't afford a normal graveyard, so we had to bury you in the slave graveyard. And he's
that's
like,
so sad.
It's okay. We're gonna go kill some white people now.
Yeah.
I popped, dude. I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And Swamp Thing shows up and is like, no, this was a bad thing.
Hold
that
up,
happened.
that white actor was actually not racist.
That's not the guy. You guys go back to bed. Everyone fucking calm down.
Oh,
And
how
then,
that ended? It's just the mansion burn.
fucking because the guy playing the slave owner shoots Swamp Thing, sets him on fire, and then Swamp Thing's like, fuck it, and then walks into the house and starts setting the house on fire because he's on fire.
Oh, yeah,
and now he knows that his body is disposable, so like he doesn't care that he's gonna burn down in that house. He's just gonna regrow somewhere.
So badass.
And then so I really, that story was super fucking cool. There's a moment where like Swamp Thing is like, fine, I'll go check it out. Come on, Abby. And then she's like, aren't you going to say that it's too dangerous? And he's like, I respect your ability too much and your strength. And she's like, yeah, but I kind of don't want to go. And
I don't actually want to be part of this.
She was like trying to save somebody. And the guy who's playing the slave owner has like a knife. And he's like, is this fake? And then he like stabs her. And I was like, oh no.
God.
I was like, in the moment, I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
like Swamp Thing, you shouldn't have brought her. And then she's like laying on the ground. She's like, wait, this isn't real. I don't feel wet. This doesn't hurt. And then she like pulled the knife.
It's
like,
a fake knife.
She stopped holding the knife. It was one of those like retractable knives they use in TV.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, this is fucking dumb. Like, she's like, guys, again, you're not slaves. You're not a slave master. This isn't really happening. Those are zombies. Those are zombies though.
Oh, this is the last arc.
It is. And then that worker that Abby knew, her zombie dad goes, and the way the issue ends is
he gets a job.
and gets a job at a ticket booth, and he's like, the guy who's like, he's like, can I have a job here? And the guy's like, well, it kind of sucks. It's long hours and you got to be in this box all day. He's like, that's fine. I'm used to being in a box for a long time. He's like, okay, well, you just might be in here a while. He's like, I could go a week in here. And he's like, not a week, dude. Just like a couple, like just a long stint without a bathroom break or a dinner break. And he's like, it's okay. This is my box now. And then he starts eating the popcorn. He's like, yummy. This is delicious.
Yeah,
and he's like,
God.
that's just cheap leftover popcorn.
That's so fucking funny.
He's like, all right, dude, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go
after this
I got a date.
After this big tragic event where like some people died, it was
some guy got his entire torso flayed.
Oh my lord! That was the Black Star. The man who plays
he got his skin ripped off.
It's so.
I don't think that's. I think this is real.
Yeah,
I don't think that is. Like, I don't think he could have flayed that guy with a fake knife. He didn't flay him, dude. He thinks he flayed him.
Oh, that's right. Because like in the history,
remember when he was like doing the scene, and in his head he was whipping him with a whip.
Yeah.
And then after the scene, he was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you so hard." And the guy's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's not even holding a whip. Oh. It's because they're living out these memories of these other people.
Okay, so he probably is not actually dying.
No,
but it is pretty cool how we ended on a light note. Where like, what's going to happen to these slave zombies? And then it's like, oh, they get jobs.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does that guy ever come back?
No.
We should write a Swamp Thing comic.
Yeah.
We should write one Swamp Thing comic where that guy comes back.
Something's going through his hometown. Like they accepted him, and there's that zombie in the booth.
He's still there.
He's still there.
Jesus.
Don't you know that digital media is easier now?
Don't you
zombie?
know that since COVID, no one goes to out theaters anymore?
This is
zombie?
my box, Swamp Thing.
My box, Swamp Thing.
I get all the leftover popcorn I want.
And I don't even need to eat it. I'm fucking undead.
Oh, this is a really good book. I love Swamp Thing. When the John Constantine stuff gets in.
You know, I was looking at more pages. He does look a lot like Sting. It's just that the very first time you see him, he's like in the Technicolors.
Yeah, so
it's like he looks so much like David Bowie. You're way past that page. But
I was just trying to look for a John Constantine look there.
Yeah, he looks a lot like Sting.
Great guy.
But yeah, so yeah, next on my Swamp Thing Adventures Volume 4, which I've heard 3 and 4 are peak.
That's my opinion. 3 and 4 is like the best part.
I just flipped through it and I saw a dead man.
He's back, baby.
Before he got on the swamp, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you guys following us on Instagram know what I'm talking about. Dead man or Bud Man, am I right?
You want to get that Dagobah green, you know what I'm saying?
Dagobah green, baby.
Decapod, the Yoda planet, you know.
Huh? Dagobah? I think you said Ichabod.
Oh no, I'm gonna say Dagobah. I botched that joke. All right. I guess
now
I'm fired.
You're the guest host.
I'm the guest host now. Oh no.
I'm the guest host now. Look at me. Look at me.
What else are we talking about?
You're talking about what you're reading.
What am I reading?
Doom Patrol.
The Doom Patrol.
The Patrol.
Oh, I love the Doom Patrol. I've been watching the show.
A
and
bunch
it's
of
really
freaks.
great. I wanted to get into the Grant Morrison run because I've heard that's like really good. So I started from the very beginning even though I got the Grant Morrison book, I started the very beginning so I can know the whole lore and history of the Doom Patrol, and I'm really liking it so far.
Yeah, I'm not like Eric. I got the Grant Morrison run because I like Grant Morrison and I like the TV show.
I was gonna do the same thing for like Swamp Thing, like go from the very beginning, but it's kind of muddled. Like there's a lot of like he just makes like
appearance here, appearance
there, yeah, and it's like, oh, where do I begin?
That was the Moon Knight beginnings. Remember when you were reading Moon Knight and it wasn't Moon Knight comics until like the 30th book?
Yeah, and I know there is like a condominium, like an omnibus of those earlier stuff before Alan Moore.
But even then, it's like it's.
I think they describe enough in the Alan Moore books.
And they go over it well. And I think Alan Moore is like, if you want to start Swamp Thing, if you want to dip your toes into the swamp before absolutely losing your mind in the green, you should start with Alan Moore.
Yeah, Alan Moore's a good like introduction,
jumping on point for like the same way I would say like if you want to read all the X-Men, you can just start with the Giant Size X-Men 1, which came out like 12 years after the initial first issue of X-Men.
Yeah, that's when they got really popular, right?
That's when it was the international team. So that was with the team with Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm.
Wow, you get Canadian, Russian, German, Louisiana.
Or is he German? No, I think he's Austrian.
Well, what's Gambit? He's Australian, right? I mean, not Australian.
No, he's New Orleans. He's Cajun.
Cajun.
Yeah. And Storm is from Africa.
Oh yeah, that's a good lineup.
Yeah, it's literally. And then there's
Arizona for Rogue Rogue,
Rogue
right?
is from Louisiana too. I thought.
I thought she was Arizona, like the country girl.
I don't know.
No, I remember she. Well, at least in the show that I watched, the animated show.
Yeah, I don't know where she's from in the comics. It might be Arizona, but
So the thing is with Doom Patrol,
yeah,
they started off on a comic series called My Greatest Adventures, which was just a bunch of like individual stories of normal people dealing with like some supernatural or monster stuff. The submarine crew found this glob monster or whatever, or something like that. Or this kid had a dream where he's in the war with a bunch of cool soldiers, but that was waning. That was like losing popularity. They had to find a way to bring this series back, so they come up with the Doom Patrol. So like issue 80 something of My Greatest Adventures is like the first Doom Patrol, and what really gets muddled up is that eventually My Greatest Adventures changes its name to the Doom Patrol. So
Doom Patrol 89 is actually Doom Patrol 1.
Yeah.
And it's also my Greatest Adventure number 89.
So it was crazy when I picked up, saw the first Doom Patrol. I was like, Doom Patrol number 89. I'm like, where's the other 80th issues? Like, oh, no, it just rolled over from My Greatest Adventures.
Yeah.
But I started there, and if you guys don't know who the Doom Patrol is, they're a bunch of freaks, rejects, gross people who form a team. They don't want to be superheroes, but they come together for the chief.
They're meta-humans whose abilities aren't intrinsically heroic.
Yeah,
they're meta-humans who
they can't even live as like functioning people in a society.
They can't live as normal people. They don't. It's not that they have super strength and super speed and can do and have skill sets like detective skills and science skills. They're everyday people who just have freak mutations.
Can't live a normal life, so they stay with the chief.
So Chief takes them in, and it's very much, I believe. When did Doom Patrol first come out? What year?
It was late 60s, like 68, I want to say.
So Doom Patrol is a ripoff of X-Men?
I think Doom Patrol came right before X-Men. But
because X-Men is, I believe, 62.
What I learned from like the history of it all is that like around that time there are people who are working at DC and Marvel at the same time, so ideas kind of get swapped around.
Oh,
so
yeah, 100%.
It's possibly
that's the thing when people are like they steal from each other. It's like no, it was all the same dudes.
And they're also at 63.
63?
Yeah, 1963, June. So I think it was like a month or two later.
63
X-Men.
Sounds right for X-Men.
Let's see here. September 63, so a few months after Doom Patrol.
So literally 3 months after Doom Patrol,
but
they made X-Men.
But they're also so distinct, though.
They're so very distinct because
different.
Doom Patrol, they are freaks.
Yeah.
X-Men,
it's
they're
like a race
like,
thing.
oh, they're freaks, but it's like, no, they're not. They have fucking cool powers. It's just the society they live in see them as freaks because they were born with their powers.
Yeah, it's like a race thing because they're mutants, but here they're like, I think it's like for Doom Patrol, it's like ableism people.
Yeah,
like
it's definitely more of like a mental health / disability thing. Yeah.
So you got Robot Man, who's literally just a brain that guy survived. Cliff Steele,
Cliff
Robot
Steele,
Man.
race car driver, shitty dad, and now a brain in a jar.
He gets into a freak accident, and they put his brain in a robot body. And
Niles does.
Niles did.
He didn't ask him to do that.
Well, I think that's just in the Doom Patrol show.
Oh, who does it in the comics?
Oh, it's him. He still does it. It's just that after Robot Man wakes up, he goes on a rampage and like leaves. So Niles has to find him.
Oh shit.
Because if you wake up with no feeling with your toes or like have no hair, you can't really feel anything.
But you're awake.
Yeah, you're just a brain in a body. Like
Yeah.
it gets kind of frustrating. Like I like Robot Man because you get it. Like because he's kind of an asshole. But I understand because you got all this bottled up frustrations that you can't really.
It's also
emote.
it's also like he didn't ask for the second chance.
Yeah,
right.
It's a bad.
Like he would have rather died.
But he's still a good guy.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing cool about Robot Man is that in these issues is that he always sacrifices his body to stop something, like throwing his body into like the machine to stop it.
Yeah, because he understands it's not a big deal.
Or ripping his arm off and throwing it. Like it's really cool.
That's our boy. Who else is on the team?
Negative Man.
The Negative Man.
Captain
Larry
Trainer. He was a U.S. air pilot who went through an electric field and got his body all radiated, so he has to wear this special gauze, so he looks like a mummy man. Because if he removes that gauze, he can radiate people around him.
Yeah, it'll kill. It's lethal radiation.
But he also got this ability where he has a negative spirit that he can release, and it can go really fast. It can
can it possess people?
No, but it can disrupt electronics and stuff.
Was there a version of him in the Teen Titans show where his negative spirit could possess people?
No.
Okay,
I just remember it going through like machines and they just blow up.
Yeah,
but they can also like grab people too and stuff.
He's basically like, what is he? Is he like some type of electricity?
Yeah, like it's something like that.
Negative energy
because it can ride through wires too.
Okay.
But he can only do this for 60 seconds or else the Negative Man has to come back to his body and he can be all better again. But every second Negative Man's out, he's like slowly dying.
Yeah, and also he doesn't have control over his body. Is that right?
No, at least in the Silver Age one,
he has control over both of them.
I think so. He kind of like tells it it's kind of like a stand. She
Okay.
tells her what to do and like, hey, Negative Man, go, because the Negative Man is the spirit, not him, the Negative Man. Even though the fans call him Negative Man, like the people in town, they go, yeah, go Negative Man.
He's like, I'm Captain Larry Trainer.
I'm not Negative Man. The thing that comes out of me is Negative Man.
You guys got to get this right. Okay. And then who else is on the team?
Rita
initially?
Farr, aka Elastigirl.
Those are the three from the show too. The three main ones from the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So she has the ability to make her body grow big and small, which you seem like, well, that's not pretty freakish, but I think it goes back to like the society's idea of like if you're a taller woman that's like unattractive to a man, you know what I'm saying?
But she can make herself smaller too.
She can make herself small, but like at the beginning she had no control over it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So she'll go big out of nowhere, and I think that freaks people out and everything. But she eventually gets a hang of it, and then you got the Chief. Niles Calder, a regular man that's just in a wheelchair. Completely different from Professor X.
Yep.
Because Professor X is bald.
He has mind powers.
First of all, he's bald, and while Niles has all this hair on his face. And while
Niles
Professor
doesn't
X
have powers.
Yeah, Professor X has those mind powers. While
he is a mutant. He is what he is. He is one of the members of the people he is offering refuse for.
Yeah. Same thing with
Niles
Niles.
Calder is just a weirdo.
He's a guy in a wheelchair, but what's cool about him is that he has a wheelchair with a bunch of gimmicks and stuff, like a flamethrower on the handle or like a big arm that comes out from the back of it and to start grabbing things.
He has a Hanna-Barbera wheelchair.
Yeah. It's very amazing.
That's hilarious, dude.
But it's pretty good for at least for Silver Age style because it really focuses on weird villains. That's what Doom Patrol was known for, was a lot of weird, wacky villains that are like, what the hell? It's not just normal people.
That makes sense.
The weird monsters.
The mutant men?
The mutant master.
Mutant master.
Oh, Meteorite Man. It's like it's fun. It's like whoever
vegetable mineral
mineral man.
That
the
guy.
man who can turn into any animal, vegetable, or mineral.
Yep.
There's Mr. 104 who can turn. Well, I'm sorry. At the time, he was Mr. 103 because there's 103 like elements on the table.
But now he's Mr. 104.
Yeah, he can turn into every element on the table. But now there's 118. I know. So if they ever revamp him,
I'm Mr. 118.
He was from that-
science.
he was from that Suicide Squad comic you read. You remember what Doom Patrol made an appearance? It was when Rick Flag took the Thinker helmet.
He was in that?
Yeah, he was Mr. 104 was in there.
Yeah, I do remember him. Oh
Yeah.
my god. And he turned
died.
into like metal and died.
Yeah, he died. All the Rocket Red like focused their beams on him, and he just exploded.
Now he's much more than Mr. 104. I think there's way more than 104 pieces of him.
Wait for him to come back. He's like, wait, there's more elements?
Guys, stop. Who's adding all of these? These are my powers that I can turn into alien element? Shouldn't I have been the number before?
So at by the end of the series, I think after about 40-ish issues, the popularity of the Doom Patrol started waning, so they kind of had to
Because the
cancel
X-Men
it.
was killing it.
I bet. I can imagine
That's
that,
probably
yeah.
what it was. The
I can
X-Men
believe
killed
that.
them probably. Because what year would you say was the first run ending?
Oh, dude, it was like 68, I think.
Oh, okay. X-Men also fell off in popularity too, I think. But I don't know why. But I know that they brought it back in 1973 or 2 with that international
we didn't
team.
see any Doom Patrol until 1977.
Oh, so
about
maybe
9 years.
X-Men's popularity is what got DC to bring them back.
That'd be cool.
Maybe there's probably a video essay on YouTube about this that we can.
Oh hell yeah,
watch
dude!
later.
You do your research on X-Men. I do mine on Doom Patrol history. Try to see who stole from who.
Not even stole from who, just where they sync up. Like,
yeah,
because I think that kind of stuff is interesting. Like what comics get made because of the popularity. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like
it's like they're helping each other.
Like when
competition.
when the comic code like loosened up and all of the Universal movie monsters became public domain.
Is that what happened?
Kind of.
Oh yeah, because like wasn't Marvel and DC
Marvel
like taking them like
yeah.
start making their own characters based on them? Because I
Marvel
know Frankenstein
is-
Monster is a character in DC.
He's a character in Marvel. Do you know?
Ooh-wee.
Dracula's in DC, right? Like actual Dracula. He fights Batman all the time.
Yeah, and there was that
Dracula
episode
fights
of
Captain America
It was
in
that
Marvel.
issue from Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen when they found that little makeshift planet, that small makeshift planet full of
We're talking about that
Universal
thing again?
monsters. You were bringing that
missed
back.
that shit, dude.
That's around the same time. It was the 70s.
That's so cool.
So yeah, it's
But you got what? Go ahead.
It was waning in popularity, so they had to cancel it somehow. And what surprised me is that going back a little bit, I watched a show called Batman: The Brave and the Bold, where if you know, it's a really good show for DC in general. 'Cause even though it's a Batman show, each episode is him teaming up with a different like hero from the DC universe.
Usually too.
Sometimes two, sometimes more.
Before the intro, they have a vignette of him doing an adventure with
Just
one DC character.
A short 2-minute clip of him teaming up with a guy.
And then the rest of the there's the one episode where it starts with him and Mr. Miracle escaping a death trap together for an
for
audience.
a charity, yeah.
Yeah, and then the intro happens, and then I think it's like a Plastic Man or something episode where he hangs out with Plastic Man, and Mr. Miracle isn't in it at all.
Yeah, some characters make a recurring appearance, like Plastic Man and Aquaman. But the episode with Doom
Blue Beetle,
Patrol,
I think, is a mainstay.
Yeah, Blue Beetle,
Guy Gardner.
Oh yeah, he is.
I'd say Guy Gardner shows up.
Oh
in that
yeah,
show
he's
a lot.
the Green Lantern for that show. Even though Hal Jordan makes an appearance,
That's how you know it's good DC.
you're bringing back some side characters that need love. Then yeah. So the Doom Patrol episode has them sacrifice themselves at the end, and I thought it was pretty cool. When I was reading the last issue, they took that
of the first run.
Yeah, the first run. They took that and made that an episode. I didn't know that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But what happened was that so a little bit of history. Madame Rouge kind of joins the Doom Patrol for a little bit because she got like Niles took the evil out of her head.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do.
And they
became
the evil out
they
of
had a
your
relationship. They started having a relationship, even though the Doom Patrol hates this new woman in their house. But she goes back being evil. The Brotherhood of Evil turned her evil again, and she's all like, "Well, fuck both you."
And the Brotherhood of Evil at this time is like Major Mala and Brain.
The Brain, Mijur Mala, Garguax the Decimator,
Immortus,
and Immortus,
That's
and
so
Madame Rouge.
fucking
That's a
cool.
good team up
that
right
is
there.
I hate to say it, but like that's my villain team for DC. That's my favorite villain team.
They're so good.
Like
They're like their own separate thing from like the secret society too.
Because what are they called again? They're the
Brotherhood of Evil. Brotherhood of Evil.
They remind me of the Masters of Evil from Marvel.
Oh, cool.
That's like we've talked about it, but like where you were like, what would the secret society of Marvel be? And I was like, there's not one. Like there's so many different factions in turn, because there's so many street level villains, and then there's like higher up villains, and then there's like organizations of like Hydra and AIM, and
DC has that too, but it's mostly like if they want a villain team up, they'll just use the society or something like that.
They don't in Marvel Comics. It's like the Masters of Evil was Baron Zemo's idea, because he was like, doesn't it suck that you're trying to do a villain thing and like just you by yourself gets attacked by like 6 dudes? Like, yeah, your guy who normally stops you shows up, but he also brings the Hulk? That's not fair. What if we all team up and like we fight them together.
Yeah, it's pretty much what the society thing. It's more like an insurance thing. Like, hey, the Justice League's always got each other's back. Why not we get each other's back?
But they literally only team up when they have a plot. They don't team up to be like, let's have each other's back. They team up to we need to kill them.
Sometimes the society is like a social club for villains, pretty much.
Yeah, see, the social club for villains in Marvel, that's more like the street level thing where they're hanging out at the bar with no name. Yeah. And then there's like Hydra, who like is a collection of bad guys who don't work well with each other. There's a lot of infighting. And it's mostly henchmen stuff. And they do also, they go to the bar with no name and hire people to do stuff for them.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But anyway, so Madame Rouge.
Goes
back to the Brotherhood.
Actually, she destroys the Brotherhood. But she's like, fuck both of you guys. I'm going to destroy the Doom Patrol and the Brotherhood. Succeeds. There's a funny panel of her blowing up Brotherhood HQ and the brain and Mala is like in the air like, whoa. And that's the last you see of them for like a long time, apparently.
Nice.
But it becomes like an open war of the streets between Doom Patrol and Madame Rouge. Like people are like becoming cannon fodder, like they're in the way. So the government was all like, "Hey, Doom Patrol, you need to take this war somewhere else. You're like causing a public problem." And like Robot Man and Negative Man and Let's Go, like, "No, we can stay and fight. We dealt with all these people. We can fuck them up." But Niles all like, "No, they're right. We should just move to another place.
This is our fight. This
is our fight. Yeah,
we're getting innocent.
So they get into a plane. All their fans are like booing them, like, "Boo! You guys are cowards!" And Robot's Man like, "Oh, I just want to beat up that Madame Rouge so badly." But then they're in the plane, and like Niles Calder's all like, I actually have a plan in my head for this." And like Robot Man's like, "Oh, I love you, you bearded man," and kiss him on the head. And because he has actually
an island. Robot Man has to hurt. It's just a metal man headbutting you.
It's just little metal lips touching your head. Niles has a science island he's been creating where they're gonna conduct this whole like plan to stop Madame Rouge. But bum, Madame Rouge is there, and she brought General Zoll, a Nazi who also hates Niles. And of course, I was living with you, Niles. I know where all your secrets. I know this island. It's rigged to explode. They get captured easily.
Yep.
And General Zoll is pretty much like, all right, you guys can live, but I'll blow up this other island that has 14 citizens on it. So completely, nobodies. Nobody will miss them. But if you let them blow up, you can live, or you can take their spot and die.
Yeah.
Doom Patrol immediately was all like, "We'll
kill
take
us.
that. Well, yeah, we'll kill us."
Robot Man's like, "Blow us up. I won't even." Well, wait a minute. And then Robot Man's like, "Rita!"
It was broadcast too because General Zoll wanted to like show the.
He wanted to defame them.
Yeah,
he wanted to sow distrust in the heroes.
But instead, they become martyrs.
Yep.
So
also, when you listed the core three, I would argue, but Beast Boy's there too. Right?
But throughout the run, they get the Beast Boy too and Mento, which is like Mento's like this rich guy. It's funny. They always mention that he's the 5th richest man in the world. Every scene where he's being all rich guy, they got to bring up like, you're
5th richest man in the world.
And he has like these low psychic abilities that are enhanced with this helmet that he puts on. That makes him like, do all that stuff. And he only joins the team. Not really joins the team. He thinks Rita Farr is hot and wants to marry her. But
he's he's like a romantic interest for Rita.
Yeah,
then Beast Boy is like a trainee.
Yeah, he wants to join the Goon Gang, which he calls it. Like, I want to be part of the Goon Gang. I'm a freak too. And Robot Man's like, we don't need no snot-nosed brat with a Beatles haircut joining our gang. But Rita Farr is like being the mother of the group.
Yeah, she's like, no, let him turn into a snake.
Yeah, let him turn into a snake.
He turns into a snake, and at this point in the comic, you were telling me that you showed me some images. Well, maybe we'll find something to post on this post.
It's kind of gross. Like when Beast Boy transformed back in the day, he didn't become like the full green animal it is. No, he turns into an animal body, and his face kind of turns into the animal, but he still has those big ears sticking out.
It's just a human face on an animal body.
Yeah, but sometimes a human face is morphed to look like the animal.
He's like a halfway animorph.
Yeah, but this is the head part.
Green eggs and animorph.
But yeah,
yucky.
But Rita Farr and Mento eventually like gets married, and like they help Beast Boy out of their It's funny. Beast Boy has this adopted father that's like taking money out of his inheritance, and Beast Boy wants to get rid of him.
Yeah.
But even though the Doom Patrol don't believe him, they're like, "Oh, you're just saying your adopted father is stealing from you because you want to join us, Beast Boy." But of course, the only one who believes him is Elastigirl. But it's funny, this guy named Galtree, he starts going to the Brotherhood of Evil, telling them like, "Hey, the Doom Patrol's on my butt. They're investigating me. You need to do something." So I think it's pretty funny that the Brotherhood of Evil is like partnering up with this schlup who just like giving them money. But they eventually get him arrested, and Rita Farr and Mento adopt Beast Boy as their. Aww. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
That's cute.
And
And then they die.
Yeah, then they die, and you don't know what happened to Beast Boy.
And
he eventually
then-
joins the Teen Titans as Changeling.
Yeah, and you started reading the second run.
Yeah, second one. You want me to get a little bit more into that? What I'm into?
I mean, if you want to. I mean, you like, what are your impressions on it so far? How many issues deep are you in?
Just 4 or 5 issues so far, including
Okay.
first they had like a 3 on 1977 they had DC Showcase, which does like different highlights some characters. So they brought back the Doom Patrol, but a different team.
Okay.
Except with Robot Man apparently survives the explosion, gets a new body, and joins up with his new team, which is kind of does not represent
Doesn't
Doom
fit the
Patrol.
theme.
They're good heroes, but they're not like,
That's not the Doom Patrol.
they're not freaks. They're not rejects. They seem like capable heroes that want to save the day.
Yeah, taking a name of a bunch of martyrs.
We can get into them later.
Okay.
Next time before we get into it. But
Yeah, because we need to finish. What we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna finish up the Swamp Thing run. I got about 3 more books to read. We'll do that probably in the next 3 episodes. We'll finish Swamp Thing up. Maybe even have a special guest who's a big fan of Swamp Thing on the podcast to talk about the finale.
some say he's the Swamp Thing guy locally. Yeah.
Yep. Eric, you didn't read any Annihilation this week, right?
Yeah.
That's
Took
okay.
a little break on it. Don't
No
worry.
big deal. You have been reading Tom King's Vision, which we'll talk about next week because you're not quite done.
Yeah,
and
I'm
that's
making
a
progress.
book I really want to talk about in depth all the way through. I don't want to have to stop and then do another episode.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're right.
And then I think next week, I think we'll tackle whatever we tackle.
Well,
I feel like we've been
Isn't
doing this
next
thing.
week our break week? Because it's like
Next week is our break week, dude. Oh my god!
even more time to finish Annihilation.
So
or
much
catch up.
time to finish stuff. Yeah, guys, we won't be posting a podcast next week.
It's the first of every month. That's
First
right.
of every month, we're going to be taking a break. First Sunday of every month, we will not be recording, which means first Wednesday of every month, there will not be a new episode of the Book Club from Planet Zero. We're sorry, but we're only space noids, right? That's all.
Yeah, we're not humans.
we're not humans.
We're called space noids.
Just like in Gundam.
What? Oh, I didn't
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
All right,
That's
quick
fun.
Gundam lore drop before we end this episode. In Gundam, when the people who live out in space in the artificial habitats, they start deeming themselves as space noids instead of humans.
All right.
Or like they're humans, but they're like we're space, like we live in space.
Yeah.
Like we're different physiology.
See, yeah, British people made these colonies, but we're Americans.
Exactly. And that's exactly what's going on in Gundam. Oh, dude, I can't wait for you to read Gundam. You got to start reading. We'll get back on manga too. I know we're very comic heavy these days. We'll get back to reading some manga. There's a lot of manga on my shelf that I want to pick up and read. A lot of manga that I want to revisit. Gundam being one of them. Die Dark. If anyone watches Dorohedoro on Netflix, the guy who wrote and made that also does another one called Die Dark, which is more of a dark fantasy sci-fi book.
Delicious.
As our friend Vic would say, delicious. He also says that. But I think that's all for us this week on the book club from Planet Zero. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Check out our Instagram. We'll be posting there today. So you guys won't hear this until a couple days later. But go ahead and check out our Instagram. Check out our Patreon if you want to support the production.
Yeah, we need fuel, for our
We
ship.
need fuel for the ship. We need green soilant for the creature so his tummy doesn't go empty. We need money for comic books because apparently what they don't accept our currency on Earth.
Yeah.
They accept American
They don't
USD,
accept
whatever
blips.
that
They
is.
excuse.
Blips aren't accepted here, says Brian, the comic guy. And we're like, look, Brian.
Yeah, can you believe that? We put a big pile of blips on his counter, and it's still not enough to buy a gumball.
Yeah, he's like, you're getting grease all over the place. Why is this money covered in grease? And we're like, that's what makes it valuable.
Planet Zero currency is like always leaking.
It's always wet. It's wet money.
It's wet money.
It's like blood money, but wet money. Also, we just started a TikTok page. Go check us out on TikTok, the book club from Planet Zero.
We'll start making some funny vids.
We're gonna start. If anyone's ever familiar with the Cerebro podcast, shout out to them. They are my main inspiration for posting TikToks. We don't have many right now, but I'm working on it, y'all. Anyways, your guest host, as always, Christian here, signing out. You guys have a great rest of your day.
And I'm Eric, the actual host, overlord of this whole podcast, Planet and everything. Make sure, if you're Australian, check your toilets for frogs, and have a good night.
What? Okay, actual host hurts, and what? Frogs?